Hello and welcome back, ladies, if you're one of my wonderful subscribers already, and if you're not, feel free to click the button below and join the journey. Today I am going to be going over 10 baby hacks that I have tried and actually like. There's been a few that aren't so great, but these are 10 that I actually like and want to share with you all. And at the end, I'm actually going to ask you for some help on a issue that we're having right now. So stick around to the end and leave your comments below because I could use some other mom advice. All right, let's jump in. The first hack that I want to show you is doubling up your crib sheets. All this is putting on one cover, then another one. That way, when something spills or gets on it, you just rip that cover off, throw it in the laundry, and get on with dealing with your baby. It is a pain in the butt to put these fitted sheets on cribs, so the last thing you want to do is have a crying baby who's also in wet clothes that you're trying to set back down to sleep, but you have to put on a crib sheet. Absolutely love this hack. The next tip that I found really helpful was to use this chart, and I'll link it down below, but I found it on Pinterest, and essentially it shows you how many layers a baby needs when they sleep at night, depending on the temperature of the room or wherever they are. And I found this really helpful because I thought that I was putting on enough layers, and it actually said put on another one. And as a first-time mom, I found it really helpful to have a guide being like, okay, you're not gonna make them overheat or anything. This is how many layers if, you know, it's the dead of winter and freezing. I got one of those like little Frida baby care packs somewhere along the line. I think I bought it for myself, but it had the Windies and the nose Frida and the little baby clippers and the baby files. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm just dumb, but I cannot use those baby nail clippers with any more proficiency than I can just normal ones. And when it comes to dealing with Evangeline's nails, files. That's my next tip. Just file them. They're just so paper thin, it barely takes a rub or two to get them down, and you have to round them anyway because those sharp little edges are what cut them. So why not just use the file to begin with? I don't understand baby nail clippers, is the point of this tip. My next tip is to use a feeding chart based on weight instead of age. If you've been following along on our journey, you know that Evangeline is tiny and she is not following the growth chart to a T. So when I look at some of these feeding charts that say, oh, she should be drinking like 12 ounces at a time, I'm like, nope, I can't get that in her. And instead I'm following guides that go by weight, which is way more accurate to what she needs and what she's capable of drinking. I'll leave that link down below as well. Along the lines of knowing what you should be feeding your baby and keeping track of it, I keep a little notepad right by my bottle cleaning station. So every time that we take a bottle back, the husband and I will write down the ounces, and I keep track of whether it's in the AM or PM. At the end of the day, we total it all up so we know what she drank. This is helpful for us knowing if she's drinking more each day, and the pediatrician wants it, again, since we're monitoring her weight very closely. And I found it's the most foolproof way so that bottles don't get forgotten, because obviously you're not going to remember to write it down after you feed a baby every time. You're going to change them or put them to sleep and then go on with your day. But when you collect all the bottles, you can see how much is left and write down what she drank. This next hack has saved my butt so many times. It is to unpack and repack your diaper bag before you leave the house every time. I promise it doesn't take forever, and it's worth it, because the first time you find yourself out in public without an extra diaper, without an extra outfit, you're going to hate yourself. So I always empty everything out, see where the missing items are, go fetch them, bring them back, and then repack my diaper bag. Both the husband and I know the list of things that goes into the diaper bag, and that way we're never caught out without a bottle or a burp rag or something like that. My next tip is something you know I struggled with if you follow me on Instagram, and that is finding a lotion or cream that I could use on my poor baby without causing any reactions, and even these really mild hypoallergenic ones were giving her hives. So I don't use any of those anymore, and I just use Aquaphor. That's all you need. It's the safest, and it doesn't smell pretty like the other ones, but it also can't give them a bad reaction. And it has been a game changer since we have switched away from all these lotions and just use Aquaphor. I've mentioned this book before and these concepts before in my must-haves video, but I wanted to throw it in here as well. But learning the 5 S's was critical. Again, as a first-time parent, there's a lot to learn and a lot of content, and so I want to highlight what is actually helpful. The 5 S's are swaddle, shush, swing, side, and suck, and it was critical to have that set of tools in my arsenal. Again, you can check out my Amazon list below, and it has that book listed there, but I think it was so critical. Like I said, when there is a million pins trying to teach you how to get your baby to sleep, having something that's scientifically backed was really important to me. Along the same lines, establishing a really solid nighttime routine was critical, and we can see it paying off, and we saw it pay off even like a month into having Evangeline. Our routine is she gets swaddled up, she gets her last bottle of the day, we go into her room and it's pitch dark and it has the noise machine on. And these are all clues to her that it's time to sleep, and not just for a nap, but for a long stretch of time at night. And now some nights after I give her bottle, I just can lay her down in her crib and she will self-soothe to sleep within 60 to 120 seconds, and it's great. But I know it's because it's dark, she hears the sound machine. Obviously her arms aren't swaddled now, she's too old, but she has her swaddle blanket on, and those are all cues to her that it's time to sleep. We're serious, it's time to sleep. There's not gonna be any more playtime, and it is wonderful. Finally, my last tip is one that I'm sure you've seen come across your Pinterest feed, and it is to roll your clothes to put them in your drawers instead of stack them, so you know what is actually in there. I've been using this since Evangeline was born, and I thought, oh, if it's too much work, I'll definitely stop. It hasn't been. It's been super helpful, especially now as we're like making more fun outfits and I need to match her pants to her onesie and color coordinate. Like, I have found this very helpful. I love being able to see everything, and naturally as you refill the drawers and push everything down to the front to be able to fill in the back, you push forward things she hasn't worn yet. So it's a nice way to like kind of cycle through her outfits, as well as just know what's there and nothing gets lost down at the bottom. Those were 10 tips I found helpful. Now on to my question for you guys. Evangeline is entering that stage where she is just like grabbing everything, but more importantly, like her skin, and her skin's already so sensitive, like I talked about before, but she is now cutting herself and like causing almost like rough patches from being mucked at too much. We have some gloves, some of them that the husband's grandmother knitted for us, which are really nice, or I guess crocheted. And then like little mittens that are meant for the outdoors, but I am looking for tips and tricks and products to keep her little nails from just wolverining her face. Please leave them in the comments below. I really appreciate that. But until next time, ladies, keep on fighting.